Yeah, so we've all played one of those games where we have a specific quest, whether it is to win a boss, like the boss of the whole game, or whether it is to get a particular treasure or to find something that is maybe find the X or something like that. And most times we have one thing that we're going for, but at the same time there's a lot of side quests, there's treasures that are laying around that we can still get, a lot of coins, there's a lot of smaller bosses that we have to win in the process, and that kind of helps us stay in the game. It kind of helps us stay in the flow of the game and makes us a lot less obsessed with just one thing, to the point where if we lose over and over again, we still want to stay ahead, we still want to stay within the game and work. And one way that you can see that as an artist is to understand that you need many side quests. You, like I've spoken many times about focusing on one particular thing and trying as much as possible to stick to one thing. But even recently, once I realized that I was sticking to one thing, it helps for, let's say, the first 1 week, 2 weeks, and after a couple of days or after a while, it became the only thing I thought about, to the point where when I started to procrastinate, that I wasn't really procrastinating productively. Once I stopped doing that, it was almost like I either did that or I slept, or I either did that or I scrolled my phone or something. And the easiest way to think of that was to try and create other side quests, to where whenever I chose to procrastinate, I didn't just procrastinate non-productively, I did it productively in that sense. Recently I started doing a lot of sketches, so whenever I said I don't really want to paint, whether it is on my tablet or whether it is on a board, or even starting off this painting or finishing it, I've not really felt like painting, and so I leaned more into sketches. And since I leaned into sketches, it felt like a very sweet way to procrastinate painting, and whenever I did that, it made it more interesting. And this is something I'm also learning from this Still Like an Artist book, where it's explaining something about being procrastinating productively, basically. And it's more sensible in that way for you to try as much as possible to put your hands into different things, not putting your hand into different goals in sense of like big goals. You should probably have one or two at most in terms of big goals. But when it comes to side quests, when it comes to trying out new things, when it comes to traveling, when it comes to doing things that are away from whatever quest or whatever goal that you have in particular, it kind of helps you to relieve your mind of the whole thought of doing just one thing over and over again. And so your life isn't as monotonous as it feels when you try to do the same thing over and over. So that's something I'm trying to learn to do, where you have to open your mind up and say, okay, I can do one thing and I can do that very well. I can do that over and over, and I can create the 1000 hours of doing the same thing. But I can also go into other side quests. I can also choose to take walks. I can also choose to create probably a better body while I'm making better art. I can also choose to learn how to play the guitar while I'm making better art. Like, there are many things that you might be able to do that even at some point you might find out, maybe playfully, that that's something that you actually want to do on a larger scale. Maybe it is your own way of transitioning from doing one thing that probably is stagnant for now and going into something else. So like I said, think of that as a side quest. Do not get so caught up in it to the point where it is all you do, or that is what you face particularly. But at the same time, whenever you have the feeling of wanting to procrastinate with a hobby, procrastinate with something that is interesting to you. And that's something where they say, like, your whatever you do when you procrastinate is probably something that you should do for work. And personally, I don't really think it has to be what you do for work, because your passion isn't always going to keep being your passion. So if you ever stopped and said, okay, this thing I do when I procrastinate should be my work, it becomes less of a hobby to you after a period of time. So like I said, stick to doing whatever you're doing creatively now, and make sure that you build a habit of doing it over and over again. But at the same time, create side quests for yourself, because those side quests will, number one, keep you from procrastinating in a sense where you're doom scrolling, or you're sleeping, or you're not just doing anything in the first place. Whether it is reading, do something. Like I said, just do something that is out of your own routine, and do it, and add that to your routine, add it to whatever you do, and say, whenever I don't feel like working, I do this. Whenever I don't feel like working, I probably play chords on the piano, or I probably play the guitar, or I probably learn how to speak French. Like, there's so many things that you can do that doesn't just tie down to one thing. And that kind of creates this whole Renaissance man thing over a period of time, where you have something that you do. Think of somebody like Da Vinci, where when he was introducing himself to a particular pope, he was explaining a lot of things that he did, and he only said I paint at the end of the day. Like, at the end of the letter, that is when he pointed out, like, I paint. So it's like, I do architecture, I make weapons, I make mechanical, I do mechanical engineering things, I do this, I write poetry, I do all of these things, and then I paint. And that's something that you should do, because even at this point, Leonardo will always be known as one of the greatest artists, or one of the greatest painters that ever lived. But at the same time, he had a lot of things that he ventured into, and these were things that he probably did when he was less busy, or when he was bored, or when he was, I'm just saying, because there was no phone there. So I probably think that if you took my phone away from me forever, and you said I should just work and learn things, I'll probably learn a lot more than I'm doing. Because one thing about learning with your phone, or learning with technology these days, is that there's a lot of passive learning, there's a lot of unintended learning, or unintentional learning, let's just use that word, because there's a lot of learning things that you probably don't do hands-on. But once you procrastinate productively, there's a lot of hands-on learning. There's a lot of things that you try to do, whether it is shooting darts, whether it is playing snooker, whatever it is, you're doing them hands-on. And there's going to always be a point where those things come in handy, and as soon as those things do come in handy, you become a person that is not just one-dimensional, and you become a two-dimensional, three-dimensional, five-dimensional person that has a lot of things to bring to the table. It's aside the one thing that you are known for. Like I said, keep in mind, I said be known for one thing. For example, for me, I am known for my artwork, I'm known for painting, but I still try as much as possible to get into like brand design, fashion designing, writing, whatever it is. I do a couple other things that makes it easy for me to actually enjoy the work that I do when I actually do it, and then also scale, or also divert myself, or side quest myself into other things. And so, like I said, this is just an advice for you to understand that you don't really have to do just one thing all your life. You can also try as much as possible to try new things. Procrastinate productively. Keep that in mind. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time on another video of 4i Talks. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me whatever you think was more insightful about this video, and I will reply your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much for listening again, and I will see you next time. Peace.